Hi, my name's Janice Ellis. I live in West Sussex with my husband and I've got 15-year-old twins, one of whom is Tyler, and Tyler was diagnosed with a brain tumour in 2010. Tyler kept waking up in the middle of the night with what we were told were migraines, very, very severe headaches and repeated vomiting, up to 20-30 times per night. And we went to a doctor, his GP, and they said, no, try him on some migraine medication. At the time I wasn't quite sure, so took the GP's advice. Quite quickly I became very concerned because this was going on and the medication wasn't helping him at all. So I went back to the GP and said, look, there's something really wrong here. And they did agree to refer him to the hospital. A few more days went past and we took him back for the third time and said, look, you've got to do something, because he was just being sick all night, every night. And luckily, quite quickly, we got him into St Richard's Hospital where they did a MRI scan. From that, we were lucky. We saw the consultant on the Thursday that did the MRI scan on the Monday, and Tyler was diagnosed with a brain tumour, although we didn't know exactly what it was at that time. He's got quite a rare tumour. It was only diagnosed in 2007, and it's a grade 1 benign glioneuoronal tumour. But because of where it is for Tyler, unfortunately he will always have to live with the residual part of a tumour there. Initially, because we'd been at one hospital and we had to be transferred to another hospital very quickly, the overriding sense of urgency was, is he going to be okay? That was all we could really think about initially. And of course nobody could give us a concrete answer to that. So we were very much, we didn't almost think about it, we just went day to day wanting to know that he was actually going to be okay. We had to be quite sensitive with Tyler because he was obviously a bit nervous, possibly scared about what was going on. And we did, initially we said there's a lump in your head. And when we first used the word tumour, Tyler really didn't like it. It just wasn't comfortable with that word. But part of connected to Tyler's tumour was a cyst. So we actually used the word, we could refer to the cyst, which he felt slightly more okay with. And then as time's gone on, he's got more used to the wording and the phrases. Still doesn't like the word tumour now, but is a bit more comfortable with it. It's actually quite hard to say what the emotions were, but complete. I think it can swing from 1 minute you're so angry, how can this happen to my child? To then trying hard to be grateful that he's coming through it. But certain things, I'll find myself snapping at people over things that, to me, aren't really important anymore, because life's changed for us, priorities are different, and I just don't worry about certain things, you know, what I'd call mundane things in the same way as I used to. So I do have to be careful because they're important to other people, and I need to make sure I take other people's feelings into account. But I mean, it is incredibly painful watching a child be ill, and the frustration that you can't fix them, and you can't take away their suffering. And I think overall that's certainly what I want to do as a parent, and I can't do that for him. I mean, social life, which just stopped. I think initially our world shrank. Yeah, our world became the children's ward at Southampton Hospital, and apart from very immediate family, I didn't actually want to see or talk to anybody, not for quite some time afterwards. Gradually, as we moved past the crisis stage of things, we started to meet very close friends. But even now, you know, we're nearly 2 years on, and we probably don't go out and have the social life that we did prior to diagnosis. I think your priorities change. You know, I'm certainly probably not the person I was that before Tyler was diagnosed. I mean, work-wise, initially I had to be off work for quite a period of time. I'm really lucky in that my employer was very supportive, and I was able to just take the time that I needed. All my senior managers were there and just wanted me to be able to concentrate on Tyler, so that when I was ready and able to go back to work, I could do that, and I could, you know, amend my contract to suit the hours that I was able to work. Having a child in hospital is extremely expensive. It really shouldn't be, but unfortunately it is. I mean, Southampton's not a local hospital to us. It's about an hour's drive away, and family and friends, my husband, were coming over on a daily basis. So the petrol on its own was astronomical, and parking. You know, there was daily significant parking costs, compounded with the fact, of course, that I wasn't able to work as much as I'd been able to. Initially, I didn't want to accept any help. I wanted to do it all on my own or with my very immediate family. But I have, through the Snowdrop Trust, started to talk to one of their counsellors, and he's been really helpful. We're just starting to work through looking at some of the feelings of fear and anger and frustration. And I think sometimes just being able to talk to somebody who's not emotionally involved in this really helps, because they're not suffering the same pain as you are. And they can come up with some suggestions, just little things that might help. Because I certainly felt, initially you feel so guilty about doing anything that might be fun for yourself, and it's quite hard to start doing things like going for a haircut or going to have your nails done, or it doesn't feel right to do that sort of thing. and I think everybody you need something just for you as a parent. And certainly I've had to learn to do that sort of thing again. I think for other parents, I'd say try not to look too far in the future initially. Very much keep it in the day. And also, there's an awful lot of information on the internet that can be very, very scary, particularly if you don't really know what you're looking for. So initially, I'd say don't go digging too far, but talk to somebody that's done some of the research for you, because I certainly did a lot of digging around and came up with a lot of stuff that really wasn't relevant to Tyler at all, and managed to give myself a few sleepless nights. And there is some good information there, but you need to make sure you're getting the stuff that's relevant to your child.